So every year you guys always ask me, what do I want for my birthday? And I kindly and politely tell you guys, I don't want anything. And if you really want to buy me something, like buy me some dog food or buy me some, I don't know, baby wipes or some.
In hundreds of TikToks together, Darius Brownlee and Zara Hashemi chronicle their relationship. Now, their more than 150,000 followers want to know what happened and how this internet couple could end like this. Hashemi shot in the head, and Brownlee facing charges he did it. After 4th of July fireworks at Flower Mound's Bakersfield Park, a police affidavit says the couple got into a heated argument. Then police say it turned physical, and as he drove down Flower Mound Road, Brownlee stopped the vehicle and with his left hand removed a 10 Glock firearm from the driver door pocket. The affidavit says he shot Hashemi in her head, just above her right eye. The affidavit says Brownlee confessed, first on a 911 call and then to investigators. It says the others in the car told police the couple had been verbally and physically violent in the past. The unseen side of a relationship posted for all to view.
Police tell me they're keeping a close eye on Hashemi's condition. They say she'll be in the hospital likely for a long time, and they say they could still add more charges against her one-time boyfriend. In Flower Mound, I'm Cole Sullivan.
I do not like you, but go to sleep. What you're watching isn't just another viral TikTok. It's evidence. Evidence of what was happening behind the screens of Dino and Zara, a couple with over 180,000 followers who documented their relationship for the world to see. Dispatch to all units. Shooting reported at 1800 block Flower Mound Road. Female victim with head wound. Suspect on scene. July 5, 2024. Just after midnight. The fireworks were over, but for Zara Hashemi and Ladarius Brownlee, the explosion was just beginning. 3 miles from where they'd been celebrating the 4th of July, Zara lay on the pavement with a bullet wound above her right eye. The same man who held her in those TikToks now held a smoking Glock. The doctors told her family to say goodbye. They didn't think she'd make it, but she did survive. And what happened next shocked everyone following the case. After Brownlee pled guilty, after he received his sentence, after everything that happened that night, they stayed together. Think about that. Would you take back someone who shot you in the head? Drop your thoughts below right now. Welcome to our channel. If you're new, hit the subscribe button, like, and share this video to create awareness. Before the blood, before the bullet, before everything went wrong, Zahara Hashemi wasn't just some random TikTok personality. She was brilliant. Born into an Iranian family, Zahra had the kind of brain that changes the world. A PhD in bioprocess engineering and microbial biotechnology from Al-Azhar University. While most people were posting dance videos, she was researching biosurfactants and crude oil degrading isolates. This woman was using science to clean up oil spills and fix environmental disasters. Her academic profile reads like someone twice her age, published research, groundbreaking work in bioremediation, and a focus on using bacteria to clean up contaminated environments. She wasn't just smart, she was changing the damn planet. And then there was Ladarius Brownlee, 28 years old from North Lake, Texas, the other half of Dino and Zara. While Zara had spent years in labs and universities, Ladarius was building their social media empire. Together they racked up over 180,000 followers, with videos that got millions of views. On the surface they looked like any other couple, laughing, joking, sharing their life together. But look closer at those videos, and something else emerges. In one clip that blew up after the shooting, Ladarius has Zara in a chokehold. She says, "I do not like you," and his response? "Go to sleep," like he's joking about cutting off her oxygen. Another video shows him screaming at her to get the F out of his house. You can hear him yelling that he's sick of this S and sick of you every damn day. People who knew them described their relationship as tumultuous and physically violent. But online? Just another couple making content. Just another relationship for the algorithm. The warning signs were there, playing out in front of 180,000 people. The aggression masked as playfulness. The arguments filmed for views. The physical domination disguised as couples content. What looks like a joke in a 15-second clip takes on a whole different meaning when you know how the story ends, with Zara on the pavement with a bullet in her head. Their content walked that line between entertainment and documentation, between performance and reality, between couple goals and something much darker. And that's the thing about social media. It's all a magic trick. What you see isn't the whole story. It's just what they want you to see. The fights between takes, the tension when the camera's off, the gun in the car door that nobody knew about until it was too late. For 180,000 followers, Zahara and Ladarius were just entertainment. Something to scroll past between makeup tutorials and dance trends. Nobody thought they were watching a countdown to violence. But that's exactly what was happening. With every video, with every argument caught on camera, with every playful chokehold, the clock was ticking. July 4th, 2024 wasn't the beginning of their problems. It was just the night when everything that had been building finally exploded. When the line between TikTok and reality disappeared completely. Hit that comment section right now. What red flags do you see in their videos that everyone missed? What warning signs were hiding in plain sight? Because trust me, this story is about to get even more messed up. July 4th, 2024. Bakersfield Park in Flower Mound, Texas. Fireworks exploding overhead. Families celebrating. Kids with sparklers. The whole American dream playing out in real time. And somewhere in that crowd, Zara and Ladarius. We don't know what triggered it. Maybe it was something he said. Maybe it was something she did. Maybe it was just the pressure cooker of their relationship finally hitting its limit. But as the last fireworks faded and people started heading home, witnesses saw them arguing, not just talking loudly, not just disagreeing. This was a full-blown fight that was getting physical right there in public, with families and kids all around them. According to police reports, Ladarius ordered Zara to get into the back of his 2024 Chevrolet Blazer SUV. Not asked, not suggested, ordered. As they pulled away from the park, the argument kept going. The other people in the vehicle later told police that Zara and Ladarius were fighting the entire time. The tension in that car must have been suffocating. Then, less than 3 miles from the park, Ladarius suddenly stopped the SUV in the middle of the road. What happened next took seconds. He reached for the driver's door pocket, pulled out a tan Glock, and fired. The bullet hit Zara above her right eye. 12:49 a.m. July 5th. That's when the call came in to Flower Mound Police. Shooting reported in the 1800 block of Flower Mound Road. When officers arrived, they found Zahara lying outside the vehicle in the westbound lanes of traffic, blood pooling on the asphalt, her life literally spilling out onto the street. Ladarius was still there. He hadn't run. In fact, according to the affidavit, he confessed immediately, both during the 911 call and later to investigators. He admitted to shooting her. He admitted to pulling the trigger. Officers arrested him without incident. No chase, no standoff, just a man standing over the woman he'd just shot, waiting for the consequences. Zara was rushed to Baylor Scott and White Medical Center in Grapevine. Her injuries were described as life-threatening, which is putting it mildly. She had a bullet wound to her head, the kind of injury that most people don't walk away from. The doctors were so sure she wouldn't make it that they told her family to say goodbye. Her sister Sarah was preparing for the worst, planning a funeral instead of a recovery. But here's where this story takes its first major turn. Zara didn't die. Against all odds, against medical expectation, against everything we know about gunshot wounds to the head, Zahara Hashemi survived. The woman who hours earlier had been celebrating Independence Day, who had then been shot point blank in the head by her boyfriend, who had been left bleeding on the pavement, she lived. The bullet that should have ended her life didn't. And that survival would set in motion a chain of events that nobody could have predicted. Because what Zara did next would leave everyone following this case absolutely stunned. When Zara arrived at Baylor Scott and White Medical Center, the situation couldn't have been more grim. A bullet wound above the right eye, traumatic brain injury, critical condition. The medical team worked frantically to save her life, but the odds were stacked against her. Head wounds are brutal. They destroy tissue that doesn't grow back. They cause damage that can't be fixed. And a bullet? That's about as bad as it gets. The doctors were direct with her family. Prepare for the worst. They told her sister Sarah to say goodbye. Those words that no family ever wants to hear. The medical team didn't expect Zara to survive the night. Sarah sat by her sister's bedside, watching machines breathe for her, watching monitors track vital signs that were barely hanging on. The brilliant scientist, the woman with a PhD who worked to clean up environmental disasters, reduced to a body fighting for each breath. But then something happened that the doctors couldn't explain. Zara didn't die. Hours passed, then days, and Zara kept fighting, kept holding on, kept proving everyone wrong. About a week and a half after the shooting, Sarah posted an update that shocked everyone following the case. Zara was awake. She was stable. Against every medical prediction, she had opened her eyes. Sarah called it truly a miracle, and she wasn't exaggerating. People with injuries like Zara's don't typically wake up. They don't typically come back. But Zara did. Not only was she conscious, but she had begun sitting up, taking her first steps, responding to treatment, defying every expectation. Of course, survival was just the beginning. Zara faced a mountain of medical challenges, extensive hospital treatments, multiple surgeries, and intensive rehabilitation therapy. The road ahead would be long, painful, and incredibly expensive. Sarah stepped up, becoming not just Zara's sister, but her advocate, her voice, her champion. She created a GoFundMe campaign to help cover the astronomical medical costs. In her appeal, she described Zara as a vibrant, loving, and strong individual who has always been there for others. The community responded. People who had never met Zara, who only knew her from TikTok or news reports, donated to help with her recovery. Strangers reaching out to support a woman fighting for her life after an unimaginable trauma. Every day brought new challenges. Every small victory, a word spoken, a movement regained, a moment of clarity, was celebrated. The woman who had been given up for dead was clawing her way back to life, one painful step at a time. Brain injuries don't just heal overnight. They change you. They rewire connections. They alter how you think, how you feel, how you process the world around you. The Zara who woke up in that hospital bed wasn't the same Zara who had been watching fireworks on July 4th. And maybe that explains what happened next. Maybe that helps us understand the decision that would leave everyone following this case absolutely baffled. Because while Zara was fighting for her life, while she was taking those first painful steps toward recovery, Ladarius Brownlee was facing the consequences of his actions. And the way that situation played out, nobody saw it coming. Have you ever witnessed someone come back from the edge of death? Someone the doctors had given up on who fought their way back? Share your stories below, because Zara's survival isn't just remarkable, it's the setup for the most shocking twist in this entire case. While Zara fought for her life in the hospital, the legal system was processing the man who put her there. Ladarius Brownlee was initially charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 3 counts of deadly conduct discharging a firearm. Serious charges that could have put him behind bars for decades. The court set his bond at $900,000, and he was booked into the Denton County Jail. The case seemed straightforward. Brownlee had confessed to shooting Zara, both during the 911 call and to investigators afterward. There were witnesses who saw the argument before the shooting. The weapon was recovered. The victim was fighting for her life with a bullet wound to the head. Open and shut, right? Wrong. In a twist that nobody saw coming, Brownlee later entered a plea for what his defense described as an accidental shooting. Despite his earlier confession, despite the witnesses, despite the fact that he pulled a gun during an argument, his legal team now claimed the shooting wasn't intentional. Even more shocking, the court accepted this explanation. A Denton County judge sentenced Brownlee to 10 years of probation. Not prison, not jail time, probation, for shooting a woman in the head. Let that sink in. A man pulls a gun during an argument, shoots his girlfriend in the head, nearly kills her, and walks away with probation. But the most mind-blowing development in this case wasn't the lenient sentence. It was what happened between Zara and Ladarius after the dust settled. According to Brownlee's lawyer, the couple remained together following the incident, after she recovered from being shot in the head, after he pled guilty to shooting her. After everything, they stayed together. The woman who nearly died on the pavement took back the man who put her there. This kind of reconciliation after extreme violence isn't as rare as you might think. Experts who study domestic violence point to a psychological phenomenon called trauma bonding, where victims develop powerful emotional attachments to the people who harm them. These bonds are reinforced through cycles of abuse and reconciliation, creating intense connections that can be harder to break than the physical injuries themselves. For someone like Zara recovering from a traumatic brain injury, these dynamics become even more complicated. Brain injuries can affect decision-making, emotional regulation, and risk assessment. The very parts of her brain that would help her evaluate the danger might have been damaged by the bullet. Add to that the isolation that often comes with recovery, the dependency on caregivers, and the disorientation of trauma, and you have a perfect storm for making decisions that outsiders find impossible to understand. Some experts also point to cultural factors that might pressure women to preserve relationships despite violence. Others note that financial dependence can trap victims in dangerous situations. But the truth is, we don't know exactly why Zara chose to stay with Ladarius. We don't know what conversations happened between them, what promises were made, what factors influenced her decision. All we know is that a woman with a PhD, a scientist, a survivor of a point-blank gunshot to the head, chose to continue her relationship with the man who nearly killed her. And that decision leads us to the most important question of this entire case: what happens next? Looking back at Zara and Ladarius's TikTok account now is like watching a horror movie where you already know the ending. Every video takes on a new meaning. Every interaction feels loaded with warning signs that nobody caught in real time. Their account, Den and Zara, wasn't just entertainment. It was documenting a relationship heading toward violence, frame by frame, like for like, share by share. Let's break down what everyone missed. Red flag number 1, physical domination disguised as play. Those videos of Ladarius putting Zara in a chokehold, the ones where she says, "I do not like you," and he responds, "Go to sleep," that wasn't just couples content. That was physical domination being normalized and broadcast to 180,000 followers. When violence masquerades as playfulness, it becomes harder to identify. The line blurs. What looks like a joke to viewers might feel very different to the person being restrained. And over time, these playful moments can escalate into something much more dangerous. Red flag number 2, public arguments that reveal private rage. The videos where Ladarius tells Zara to get the F out of his house weren't just drama for views. They were windows into the real dynamics of their relationship. His statements about being sick of this S and sick of you every damn day weren't scripted content. They were genuine expressions of hostility. When couples broadcast their arguments, we often dismiss it as performance or attention seeking. But sometimes, they're showing us exactly who they are and what's happening behind closed doors. Red flag number 3, control tactics in plain sight. Witnesses described how Ladarius ordered Zahara into the back of his SUV after their argument at the fireworks show. This controlling behavior didn't come out of nowhere. It was likely part of an established pattern, one that might have been visible in their content if viewers had known what to look for. Control in relationships often starts small, deciding where to go, who to see, what to wear, but it can escalate to dictating movements, isolating partners from friends and family, and eventually physical enforcement of those controls. Red flag number 4, escalating conflicts without resolution. The witnesses in the car described how Zara and Ladarius continued arguing throughout the drive. This pattern of escalation without resolution is classic in volatile relationships. Arguments don't get solved. They just keep building until something breaks. In this case, what broke was the thin line between verbal conflict and lethal violence. Social media plays a complex role in all of this. Platforms like TikTok can normalize concerning behaviors by turning them into entertainment. When thousands of people like and share videos of a man putting his girlfriend in a chokehold, it sends a message that this behavior is acceptable, even admirable. The algorithm doesn't distinguish between healthy relationships and toxic ones. It just promotes what gets engagement, and unfortunately, conflict, drama, and tension often drive more engagement than healthy communication. For content creators, this creates a perverse incentive. The more dramatic their relationship appears, the more views they get. The more views they get, the more they're rewarded with attention, followers, and potentially income. It's a dangerous feedback loop that can push couples toward increasingly concerning behavior for the camera. Then there's the role of firearms. The presence of a gun in a domestic violence situation increases the risk of homicide by 500%. Let that number sink in. 500%. Ladarius kept his tan Glock in the driver's door pocket of his SUV, easily accessible during arguments, easily reachable in moments of rage. That accessibility turned what might have been just another argument into a near-fatal shooting. This case highlights why firearms and volatile relationships are such a deadly combination. In a split second of anger, a gun transforms an argument into a potential homicide. There's no taking back a bullet once it's fired. So how do we prevent cases like this? First, we need better education about relationship red flags. The warning signs in Zara and Ladarius's relationship weren't subtle. They were being broadcast to hundreds of thousands of people. But without knowing what to look for, viewers just saw content, not danger. Second, we need to stop normalizing controlling and aggressive behavior as passionate or protective. The line between romance and control is clear if we're willing to see it. Third, we need to take threats and physical intimidation seriously, even when they're framed as jokes or content. Go to sleep during a chokehold isn't funny. It's threatening. Fourth, we need better access to resources for people in dangerous relationships. Hotlines, shelters, legal aid, and community support can make the difference between escaping violence and becoming another statistic. And finally, we need to recognize that what we see on social media is never the whole story. The carefully curated content that couples share online is just the tip of the iceberg. Below the surface, there may be currents of control, manipulation, and violence that never make it onto the screen. Zahra and Ladarius's story isn't just about one couple, one gun, or one night that went horribly wrong. It's about the gap between perception and reality. It's about how we can watch someone's life unfold online and still miss the danger signs hiding in plain sight. As Zahra continues her recovery and her relationship with the man who shot her, we're left with more questions than answers. Will she be safe? Will this happen again? Is her decision to stay with Ladarius a product of love, trauma bonding, brain injury, or some combination of all three? We don't know. But what we do know is that somewhere right now, there's another couple creating content, another relationship showing warning signs, another disaster waiting to happen. The question is, will we recognize it in time? Because the line between a TikTok trend and a tragedy, it's thinner than you think.